It's a story of a girl who gets tricked into thinking she is working in a movie, but in reality, she is actually fighting for justice. Hello and welcome back to every recap ever. Today we are seeing an action movie called Valentine. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. So without wasting any time, let's go. In Batavia City, the crime rate has increased lately due to a certain group. In a club late at night, a mysterious masked man comes along with his subordinates. The masked man then goes to meet the spoiled rich guy and knocks him down. Later, politician Bam Bang gets a call from the same masked man. Apparently, they have taken his son as hostage and they ask him to come outside. Yeah, the guy from before is actually the politician's son. They then unalive the guy in front of the politician. So let's change the scene. We meet a girl named Sri. She is a struggling actress and works part-time at a cafe. Sri reaches home late and her mother is angry with her. She is actually not happy about her working at the cafe. They have an argument over this. However, her brother, Umbra, calms their mother down. He later tries to make her understand that their mother cares for her. She was heartbroken after their father's death and now she only wants her children to be happy. Meanwhile, another crime incident happens in the city. The commissioner head, Syamsul, along with his officers go to check the incident. They find a weird badge attached to the knife at the scene. Suddenly, the masked guy from before broadcasts a message to the citizens. He basically threatens the entire police department and aims to end them. He has created a group of people to fight against the department. His name is Shadow and he asks all the criminals to join hands with him. Few days later, a film director, Bono, presents his idea of an interesting story. Basically, he wants to make a superhero film based on real incidents. He feels it is necessary for everyone to look up to someone who fights evil for real. However, the producer rejects his idea as he feels there would be no one to take such risks. Later, Bono goes to meet his costume stylist friend Wawan and tells him about this project. However, there is just one problem: he needs a girl who knows martial arts. They go to a cafe where Wawan shows some female artists with fighting skills. However, Bono doesn't like anyone. Apparently, Sri also works part-time in the cafe. Suddenly, a customer tries to misbehave with the waitress and Sri comes to her rescue. She literally knocks him down easily and this shocks Bono. He quickly approaches her and asks her to become the main lead for his film. Her character name will be Valentine, who fights for justice. However, there is just one problem. They don't have any producers on board, so they have to record her fighting real criminals and upload it on YouTube to grow her popularity. They give her a makeshift costume and go near a store, which is apparently being robbed. Bono asks her to fight the robber using her martial arts skills, while Wawan records her. However, Wawan is just too scared to record her properly. She fights the robbers and easily takes them out. In the end, the CCTV footage of her fighting goes viral. Her deeds get recognized by the media and people start appreciating her work. Day by day, she starts learning more methods to counter criminals. She starts targeting more criminals and handcuffs them so that police could find them. People around the city start feeling a little safe because of Valentine. Wanan even makes a proper uniform for her in the meantime. One day, while having a chat with Bono, she explains that her father taught her martial arts. And after his death, her brother continued teaching her. After a while, she confronts two robbers and chases after them. Bono takes the camera to record her, but because of his leg injury, he is not able to run properly. In the end, he loses them. The chasing scene continues for a while and the robbers lure her into their hideout. Everyone then starts attacking her one by one. Apparently, this was a setup to capture her, as she was getting in their way. However, she easily manages to defeat criminals. Their leader comes to take her on with his partner. Sri struggles a bit for a while. They both know how to fight. But in the end, she somehow manages to capture them. Few days later, Umbra finds his father's old files and he reminisces about that day. Apparently, he found his dad unalived with a gun in his hand. Sri comes home and sees the house for sale outside of her house. She has an argument with her mom and she tries to stop her from selling the house. Umbra then makes her understand that there are a lot of bad memories in this house, and it's about time that they move on. However, she doesn't listen to him and goes to meet Bono. She basically talks rudely with him for not starting the movie shoot. Later, she feels guilty for venting out her anger on him. Sri sees him looking at his family photo and removing his prosthetic leg. This makes her realize that she shouldn't complain and support him. Meanwhile, Shadow and his group notices the recent deeds of Valentine. Few days later, they do a bank robbery and create a hostage situation. Syamsul calls all the SWAT officers and gets ready to sneak inside. However, Shadow puts a demand that he will only be talking to an officer named Luckman. Shadow then demands them to send in a reporter inside. They basically want to broadcast the entire hostage situation to the public and create a fear among the public. Siamsel gets frustrated and sends his officers inside to capture the criminals. They manage to corner them, but suddenly a few bombs detonate outside of the bank and destroy police cars. Shadow takes advantage of this attack and knocks down the officers. They make a few more explosions outside the bank and run away in their cars. Luckman quickly sits in his car and follows them. Basically, he wants to know how Shadow knows his name. Meanwhile, Sri is watching all these incidents and getting amazed. She quickly gets in their van and follows after the Shadow members. The intense car chase starts and Bono asks Sri to get on the roof to jump on their car. She hesitates for a bit but successfully pulls it off and starts fighting the other Shadow members. After fighting from one car to another, they manage to knock Sri down. They then detonate some bombs and run away in the smokescreen. Sri is a little frustrated. This acting job is getting very difficult for her and she just decides to quit working with Bono. Later, Wawan tells her Bono's situation. Apparently, he lost his family in an accident caused by some criminals. His main goal here is a little different. He wants Sri to become an icon people can look up to. Making a film is just a secondary thing for him. Also, the name Valentine was actually his daughter's name, who was fond of superheroes. Sri is completely shaken after hearing this. She doesn't know what to do and goes to her father's grave. She remembers her dad teaching her and Umbra the martial arts. He always taught her to be strong in every situation. Basically, he was a role model for her, but she still doesn't understand why he took his own life. Few days later, Bono sees a kidnapping. He just can't stand still and goes to save the lady and her child. However, he accidentally gets shot and loses his life in the process. Sri attends his funeral with tears in her eyes. She just can't stand seeing all the wrong things happening around her. She has made up her mind now and she goes to meet Wawan. He then shows her the bike Bono built for her. Wawan also shows her the new uniform he created for her. Meanwhile, Umbra joins the police department through his friend's recommendation. It's none other than Luckman. Apparently they are childhood friends. Luckman then sees an envelope on his desk which contains some of the bad things the police department was doing behind their back. He quickly goes to check the file records and finds some hidden dark truths. Meanwhile, an international conference is happening with a foreign prince. Shadow and his members infiltrate the building and suddenly appear during the speech. He basically puts the prince on a gunpoint and tells his demands through live broadcast. He wants to do the trade, where he will free the prince if Siamsel willingly comes to meet him. Sri gets the message of this incident and quickly heads there. She sneaks inside the building. However, Shadow's subordinates catch her in the CCTV camera. Shadow then takes the prince to the rooftop while his subordinates deal with Sri. It's an intense fight, where nobody's ready to give up. After exchanging some blows, Sri manages to defeat 3 of his subordinates. Meanwhile, Siamsel reaches the building and asks his officers to save the hostages. They manage to evacuate all the people from the building. On the other side, Sri goes to the rooftop to defeat the final boss, Shadow. Their fight starts and they initially seem equally matched. Just look at these scenes. She finds it weird that Shadow also knows the same martial arts style. Shadow then gets the upper hand and knocks her down. He finally reveals his face. It turns out to be none other than Umbra. Some of you might have guessed this already. Luckman then comes to the roof and asks Umbra to stop this. He has realized why Umbra is doing this and Luckman is ready to help him. Siamsel also comes to the roof and asks him to stop this nonsense. Umbra then makes the trade and puts Siamsel to the gunpoint. However, there is also a sharpshooter pointing his gun at Umbra. Umbra then asks him to break the silence and tell everyone what exactly happened 5 years ago. So apparently, Siamsel, politician Bam Bang, and Umbra's father were good friends. However, Siamsel was conducting some illegal activities in the department and Umbra's dad was against it. In the end, they unalived him and staged it like he took his own life. Sri finally realizes what happened that day and this tears her up. Umbra asks Sri to take care of their mom and unalives Siamsel. The next second, the sharpshooter fires his gun and takes Umbra's life. Shadow was created to take down Siamsel and he achieved his goal. After a few days, the news of Umbra's death and Siamsel's involvement in illegal activities goes public. Sri comforts her mom and she has only her left now. Luckman becomes the next head of the department and goes to arrest the politician. However, they find him already dead. Few days go by and Sri goes to a certain grave. She puts her mask on the grave as a tribute. It's Valentine's grave, Bono's real daughter. Oh, and this doesn't mean she stopped being the superhero. As evil is still lurking in every corner of the world, she can't just sit back. This is not the ending, but just a starting for her. So there you have it. I hope you must have enjoyed the video. Do drop a like to show your appreciation and don't forget to subscribe. That's all for today, and we will see you in the next recap.